If you Google Pat Elliott, don't believe anything it says.
It's 7 p.m., so we will call to order the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting for Richfield. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes of the regular HRA meeting of May 15th, 2017.
So moved.
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussions? No corrections? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, please note the attendance. Our next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
All right, is there anything to add? Then we will go ahead and vote. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We've approved the agenda. Next, we have a public hearing in consideration of the approval of a resolution approving the conveyance of certain real property to Interstate LLC and approving a purchase agreement with respect thereto. Mr. Stark, are you going to be giving us the staff report this evening?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Chair Supple. Tonight, we only have really one item on the agenda for consideration, and it's something you've heard before. You heard this on May 15th, 2017, at which time you approved the sale of properties located at 6608 17th, along with two adjacent remnant parcels that were left over after the construction of the roundabout at Richfield Parkway and 66th Street, and vacated right-of-way to Interstate LLC, the developer, for the development of an approximately 10,400 square foot retail building on 66th Street between 16th and 17th Avenue. The purchase agreement was fully executed by both parties on May 25th. In an effort to clarify the specific right-of-way to be conveyed to the developer, the HRA is requested to approve a revised purchase agreement that more succinctly describes the property to be conveyed. The purchase agreement includes payment for the vacated right-of-way, I believe of $450,000. I will tell you that the legal description you have for the portion of the right-of-way to be vacated is still not correct in what you're seeing here. We have a revised copy that we've got for the chair's signature. What's being vacated is actually slightly smaller than what's being shown in here. So we thought if we were going to err, we described it too big until we got the final details. So we do now have the legal description of the portion of the right-of-way to be vacated. Otherwise, this is really just a housekeeping item of something you approved previously, just working on the legal description to have it be more accurate.
Okay, since this requires a public hearing, we're going to open the public hearing. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners? Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak to this issue? I'll ask again. Anybody who would like to speak to this issue, please come forward. All right, it does not appear that we have anyone here, so we need a motion to close the public hearing and consider the resolution.
I so move.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of closing the public hearing and approving a resolution approving the conveyance of certain real property to Interstate LLC and approving a purchase agreement with respect thereto, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, we've passed that. The next item on our agenda would be HRA discussion items. Are there any items that anyone would like to bring up? I was wondering if we could have an update on Cedar Point 2.
Yes, Chair Supple and Commissioners. So Cedar Point 2 is the area directly across the street from Target and Home Depot. As you may recall, we were working with a development team of Boyclair and Adam Serafine, who had made a proposal for that site. Over a period of time, they reached the conclusion that they didn't have the financial capacity to take the project on as they had proposed it originally. So where staff is at, we got proposals for a market analysis. We got those a few weeks ago. We selected the lowest cost alternative, which was by Maxfield Research. To be honest, we had hoped to find another company. Maxfield does a lot of work for us and just kind of spread out the think tank a little bit. But the price from Maxfield was lower enough that it wouldn't have made any sense to go a different direction. We anticipate getting that market analysis back. They'd said 60 days, and we approved the agreement about 3 weeks ago. So another month and a half or a month and a week. So what we expect that market analysis to tell us is the kind of use that they feel is the most warranted there based on market demand. Hopefully they'll give us maybe the highest and best use and then an alternative. Then we would report back to you what that suggested highest and best use was. Then it's our intent to kind of do some research with our peers and find a short list of developers that are really specializing in the type of project that comes out of that market analysis, and contacting a handful of developers and asking them to make proposals. That process might take, my guess is 3-4 months to go through that. In the meantime, we have sent letters, and we're going to send another one to the homes on the 16th Avenue side, offering that if they're interested in selling to the HRA, we do have a limited amount of funds. I believe there are 11 or 12 homes left there. If all 12 of them wrote back or called back and said, yep, we're ready to sell today, we do not have enough funds to buy 11 or 12 homes. But if 1 or 2 or 3 called us and said, yeah, I'm ready to sell, we would do that. The benefit for them to sell to us is a couple of things. One is they don't have to pay real estate commissions. We get the property appraised for its fair market value. That's what we offer. So again, they save the real estate commissions. They also save the hassle of listing their house, having open houses and people coming in and out. And then they get some certainty, of course, which is what they've been lacking for some time. So that's where we're at with that one.
All right, thank you. Can you remind me what that is zoned for currently? What are the options that could come up?
I believe it's zoned for medium-high density housing. So something like a 2 or 3 story apartment building, I believe, would fit in that zoning.
All right, Commissioner Elliott?
I'm just curious, on a market analysis, do we really expect to see something different than what we've been contemplating for the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, here's
Yes.
what I expect. They will tell us that there's, and this isn't always a popular answer, but they'll tell us that there is always going to be a market for senior housing in Richfield. That's the first thing I suspect they'll tell us. Secondly, I think that they'll tell us that there is, even with the Chamberlain, which I'll get to at the executive director's report, even with the Chamberlain building 300 units, that there is some demand for more rental housing. What I don't know is what they'll say about for sale condominiums or townhomes. That's something that we started to explore with Boyclair before they pulled the plug on the project, but they felt that there was a market for that. I brought that to Maxfield's attention, that's something we wanted them to consider and think about on that site.
While the analysis is ongoing, I know that I've been contacted by a couple different developers about having discussions, just general discussions about what their vision is over there. Are they doing the same with you?
Yes.
And that being the case, are you still entertaining discussions with them, as opposed to saying you need to wait until we get our market analysis back
No.
before we're
Yeah.
going to do
No.
anything?
I'm meeting with developers. I'm telling them a couple of things. I'm making them aware of the market analysis process, and that ultimately, a developer would hire a company to do something like this anyway. So it's in their best interest that we're doing this.
Okay.
And hopefully their proposal will match up with what is coming out of that. The other thing I'm telling them, though, is that we've had a couple of time-consuming developer processes that led nowhere. and that we would be looking for a developer to demonstrate their commitment in the form of money, that we own a great deal of the property there. We would be looking for them to do something like an option to purchase or something on the front end, just so we can weed out the tire kickers from the legitimate developers.
Yeah, I think options is something we discussed previously. I know that the Chamberlain on the south side of 66th Street, the 3-unit buildings that are part of that, they've been paying options every 8 or 10 months over there. So they were smart enough to get options and we weren't. In particular on the north side, I think that if they're going to come in with proposals and continue to represent that they've got the financial wherewithal to put something up, I think we should request they put some money down so that we're not left hanging holding the bag 2 years later and having to go back to a market analysis to redetermine what that property is and what it's going to be.
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any further discussion items? All right, then we will move forward in the agenda to the Executive Director's report. Mr. Stark?
Yeah, a couple of things to report. First is the item which you held the public hearing for. The name of that retail development is Plaza 66, and they intend on closing on our properties and the family homes, the 3 single-family homes that they're purchasing, the first week of August. Things can change, but that's currently their plan. My understanding is that they hope to be under construction yet this year before the snow flies. Secondly, we had a neighborhood open house for the Chamberlain development. We had that at Mount Calvary Church on last Thursday. We invited, a large neighborhood, and the turnout wasn't super strong, but a lot of the same neighbors we've seen over the years. I didn't hear a single negative comment. Everything I heard was either positive or just kind of neutral question, so no negative comments. And I think really the neighborhood is accepting of the proposal. It's been in one form or another, it's been in front of them so long. I think that they're just, like I said, accepting and maybe even excited.
Commissioner Rubenstein? Oh, I thought.
Just in broad strokes, would you describe that project for folks that might not have heard of it before?
Yeah. So it's from 66th Street, or 66 and a half, to 68th Street, really from Cedar to 17th. And it's 3 95-unit buildings of new construction. It's 20% affordable units and 80% market rate. There's also 33 units, 3 11-unit buildings that are existing out there that the developer's acquiring. They're going to acquire those in October. They're going to rehabilitate those 33 units and that's, as far as I know, it's 100% affordable housing as is. They're going to rehabilitate those in a way that they don't displace any tenants. As a unit becomes vacant, they'll rehabilitate that unit, move somebody in-house into that unit, vacate or rehab the one that they vacated, and that process will go on. And so, like I said, they plan on acquiring the 3 11-unit buildings in October. They hope to close on their HUD financing in March for the remainder of the project and get started then. And they would be constructing Richfield Parkway as a part of the project, which we received a $1.5 million grant for last year.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Stark, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
All right. Well, then we will move on to claims and payroll. We have 2 separate ones for the last 2 months, so let's combine them into one motion.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the claims and payrolls for both months. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we've approved the claims and payroll. Seeing no further business, we stand adjourned. There is not an EDA meeting tonight. However, there is a special joint city council and housing and redevelopment authority work session that will convene in 5 minutes in the Bartholomew Room. Thank you.